computer. And a good afternoon. This is the Central Florida Computer Society. I'm Huey Poplock, and this is the Windows Special Interest Group, or the WinSIG, for Sunday, February 10th, 2019. We've got a full agenda for this afternoon, so let me get started. Let's see, what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up and this, and I'm going to full screen this and make it so you can read it. By the way, if you're not on our mailing list, please go to the website, fill in the little form here with your email address, first and last name, subscribe. You'll get a message about once a month, probably no more, unless you didn't open your email yesterday, day before yesterday. I did send a second notice out, but it's usually just once a month, and then we're going to talk about what's going on here, what we're going to do for the meeting, and go from there. Let's see if I can do this one more time. We should be good. Okay, first thing I want to talk to you about today is Glendale man falling victim. So let's go ahead and open that up. Many of you who are familiar with APCUG and have gone to any of the conferences that we've had, the live conferences, you've met Corey and Kerry, I'm sorry, Kerry Holzman, and he had a very interesting video probably a year or two ago about where he got on with one of these guys from Microsoft, and was going to tell him that he had viruses on his computer. So he asked the guy to call him back. He set up a computer that had nothing on it, just Windows, and then had the guy go through the whole spiel and get into his computer and everything, because he had nothing there that would be a problem for the guy to get into, and he could see what he was doing. And then he chatted with him for quite a while and talked to him, recorded the whole thing, and then played it back. It was very interesting. That was about 2 years ago. Anyway, this past past couple of weeks, he does videos on a regular basis on YouTube on tech and building your own computers and gaming computers and so on. And while he was on YouTube with about 600 people watching, all of a sudden the SWAT team came into his home and started rummaging around his home. And what had happened was, which is something is called swatting. Someone called, spoofed his phone number, so that and then called 911, and then said it was Kerry was there and was holding his wife hostage with a gun, and so they came, SWAT team and all, and invaded his house. And while he was streaming, the police came in, and they were walking around and searching his house and putting him in handcuffs and everything else. And all of this was on the video. And this is something that's happens more than we probably realize. And the bad guys can be in Europe, or they can be anywhere. They spoof your phone number, call 911, and 911 sees the phone number, matches it, and somehow it's matched up to your address, or they give your address. And then this happens quite often to gamers, because they're on with many people, and a lot of people have their phone numbers and so on. It's a prank, but it's a very dangerous prank. People can get hurt or killed. They have. But anyway, this is a very interesting article. You might want to go through it. He also has a video with him talking about it, showing pieces and parts where the police are going around his home searching and making sure his wife was okay. And even once they determined she was okay and there was nobody else in the house, they still left him in handcuffs. And it was quite a nerve-wracking situation for him. And you'll be able to see it all on video. I thought that might be of interest, because a lot of you on here, especially from other areas, but some of those who went to the FACUG
Bruce?
The cruise conferences, he was on those as well. So we hear about these things happening, but not usually to somebody we know. And here it is. I know several of you have met Carrie and would be interested in that. So the link is there. You can go there and then go ahead and watch the video as well. The next thing I want to talk to you about is automatically colorizing a black and white photo online for free. Let me minimize this for a moment, and I am going to show you a photograph, black and white. I scanned several years ago, but this is a class picture back when I was in elementary or junior high school. Certainly in black and white and so on. So what I'm going to do with this picture now is I'll minimize that. I actually could have closed it, open this back up, and we're going to go to the article. And let me make it larger here. And when you go to the article, in the article is the link at the bottom here, Colorize photos at this website. When you click it, it'll take you to the website. And you can either put an URL to an image, or you can upload it. I'm going to upload that picture that I just showed you. It's on my desktop, and it's right here. And I'm going to say open. You're going to see this happen live now, how quickly it is. It's colorizing the photo. And when it's done, what you'll see is a picture with half of it black and white and half in color with a line in the center, and I can change that line, and then I can download it when it's done. But you'll see that picture is being colorized while I'm talking. It's only going to take a minute or so. Probably going to take longer because you're there and you're watching this happen. But you can do this with any of your black and white photos. I tried it with a black and white drawing, and it just didn't know what to do with it, and it didn't. And there is the picture. As I said, there's a line in the center, and I can draw that and bring it across. So there is the picture as I uploaded it, and here it is colorized. Note that this girl's wearing a red dress, and I remember she was wearing a red dress that day, and she had red hair. And you can see red highlights in her hair here. So it's done very, very well. I don't know accurately if these, but that's plaid, and obviously plaid, and a little bit different. The Boy Scout blue looks a little bit more reddish than it probably is up here, or Cub Scout, Boy Scout, I think it was Cub Scout. But you can see what a great job it did, and left the quality of the picture as well. And again, this is what it looked like to begin with. So play with that. Find some black and whites that you have scanned or have in your collection. Scan them if you have to, and then upload it, and then see them colorized and see what it does with it. I was very impressed. And then you can either download the comparison or download the colorized image, and then it's there. So if I download the colorized image, it's already done. If I bring it up here, and there it is, and I now have the colorized image that I could do anything I want with it. Okay, and I need to move this slightly so I can find where to close it. So again, that's in the article. At the bottom is the link to take you, and the article that talks about it. As you can see, I just found this the last couple of days, and I thought it was interesting enough that I wanted to share it with you. Okay, one of the discussions we've been having in the CFCS forum, and wouldn't you know it, that is not there now. Okay, there was a good article there, and it's gone already. That's what happens when you have links. Yep, it's gone. So anyway, it was an article about what 5G is, and I thought it was a good article to describe it. 5G is coming. The Orlando area is going to be getting it as one of the first ones sometime this year. Now, when I say Orlando, I don't know if that's going to include those of you who live in Altamont Springs or Longwood or in Oviedo or in the outskirts, how far outside of Orlando it's going to be, but there's 5 or 6 or 7 cities that are supposed to get it in 2019, and then in 2020 there's supposed to be a lot more cities getting it from the various companies. AT&T is doing it. I think Verizon is one. Sprint, I know, is one. Sprint is suing AT&T because AT&T has decided that they're going to call their 4G, and then they speed it up a little bit. They're calling it 5G plus or something like that. And in other words, it's not really 5G, and Sprint is actually suing them for false advertising. So you may hear about some of this in the news. I'm going to open up my Evernote because I did save the article of what 5G is. And let's see if I can find it. This is how I track my information and so on. There's my notes. And I have about 13,000 some odd notes, so it takes a few minutes, almost 14,000 now. And let's see, 112, so it's going to be more recent than that. And I should see it here is under what is 5G, and then I'll make it bigger so you all can read it. There's the article. And I'll double click it. This is the actual article that we couldn't get to online. But I saved it, and let's see if I can make this bigger. I'm not sure if I can. I can, good. So when is 5G coming? AT&T phones might be telling you you have it now, but it's really not there. It's mostly due to the lack of the current 5G ready devices on the market, because you're going to have a phone that's going to be able to get 5G as well, and they're not making them yet. So even if 5G is available in the Orlando area, you have to go out and buy a phone that's going to be able to use it. Let's see. So when will it? Let's see. It's a long-term project. It's not going to. 4G is not going to go away soon, so you'll still have 4G. But what is 5G? Let's see if there's. I thought there was a. What it's going to be is they're going to have a lot more towers much closer together, and it's going to be ultra high speed internet. And so if you have it in your car, you're going to actually be able to drive down the street and pick up the various 5G connections, and you'll have very high speed in your car, for instance. So cars are going to be coming equipped with equipment that's 5G compatible. It'll improve your mobile phone experience, your video watching experience, and offer heightened gaming and VR experiences. But it also opens the door to bring aspects like self-driving cars to the mainstream. Again, this is because of the latency, not because of the speed. In other words, it's going to be a much lower latency levels. That's what's needed within the industries that rely on more critical and safe infrastructures. So this is a good article. And then what about 6G? Well, that's not even talk about that. That doesn't exist. Yes.
At the last SIG meeting, several of the people implied that they thought that the 5G would drastically change the way we hook onto the internet in our homes. And it may be able to fire, whether you got Spectrum or AT&T, there might be different ways of getting it through the phone companies.
And that's absolutely correct. You're going to see probably once 5G becomes widely used and everyone has access to equipment that can receive 5G signals, you'll probably see cable go away because it's actually going to be as fast as cable as far as the TV signal goes. You're going to be able to do a lot of streaming very easily, and there's not going to be a lot of latency, a lot of hesitation, a lot of buffering, that sort of thing. And so the cable companies or the articles I'm reading, the cable companies will probably adopt it and start streaming themselves, and cable as we know it will probably disappear, cable TV. This will be the nail in the coffin, so to speak, to the for cable TV. So anyway, that's the article that I had highlighted. Hopefully they'll have it back on, or you might have to do another search. But do keep up with what's going on with 5G. It's going to be important, and it's going to show up in your area sometime in the future, within the next couple of years. But then you're going to have to buy equipment that can pick up those signals. You don't have a phone that can pick up 5G right now. You don't have any other equipment that's capable of it. But those things will be coming available soon. You're going to start seeing phones coming out later this year that will be 5G compatible, but will also be able to do 4G and so on. There, of course, we'll find a way to make it more expensive, I'm sure. Anyway, that's how I save these articles, and then I go back in, make a list of them, and then actually show you the original articles. But this one isn't there right now, so I apologize. It was there 2 days ago, and the article itself is only about 3 days old. So, so let's try it one more time, see if it's back up. Maybe they're having the same issues I'm having with a nope, and they're having a server error. So anyway, sooner or later that article should be back up, or just do a search on what is 5G. Google Chrome extension warns if your password has been leaked. I don't know how many of you use the Google Chrome browser. I do. And there's now an extension for the latest version if you put it up there. And I've got to move some things here. I have some things on my screen you don't see. But right up here is the password checkup that I have installed. When I click on it, you can see that it says none of my recently used passwords have been detected in a data breach. But if you see this screen, let's make that bigger as well. Come on. If you see this screen, it says change your password, password checkup detected that your password for whatever the website is that you're on is no longer safe due to a data breach, and that it will tell you that. Anyone who has a presence of the internet is likely to be suffering from breach fatigue, because there's so many breaches now you really don't pay attention to them, but they are. There are many times that your password has been leaked. And it's of no fault of yours, nothing you have done. It's a business that you have signed up with, and you have an account or a password with them, and their data has gotten accessed and breached, and so you need to be watching for that. So this is one way to do it, and this is what happens when you click on that. You'll get the change your password note. So this is a good article that explains things like that. Also, don't have your password 123456 or password 1 or the same password with a different number at the end of it. But going along with all of that, let's go ahead and let me close this, and I'll close this again. And let's see, I thought I had more on the passwords, but I don't. So let's go to the next item. Google Chrome In fact, that was the same article, wasn't it? I clicked on the wrong one. The next one is Windows 10 has a built-in free screen recorder. Have you ever wanted to show someone how you're doing something and you want to record it and you don't know quite what to do with it or how to do it? Well, Windows 10 has a built-in free screen recorder that you might not know about. It's built in to Windows 10. What you'll get is this screen. You've probably been using Windows 10 for a long time, but that doesn't mean you've discovered everything it's got to offer. One such gem is a screen recording tool. What? You didn't know that Windows 10 could record videos on screen? Well, the screen recorder is not a standalone utility, so you can't take a browse through the start menu. You won't find it. However, you'll be able to find the game bar, but if you're not a gamer, you may have seen this tool and thought nothing of it. So if you open up the game, if you go to look for the game bar, what you do is you come down here to the search box, you type in game bar, and it's here, and you click on it. Now, the first time you do that, is it going to come up? There it is. It's not going to look like this the first time you do it, most likely. Let me show you. Actually, I'm going to show you I did a screen capture. What it actually will look like. It will look like this. You notice here it says gaming features are not available. That means you haven't turned it on. And most of you probably haven't, unless you're into gaming. There's a little checkbox right here. You click on that. This is not a live version. It's only a picture. But if you click on that, it puts an X in that box. And when you do that, it should then enable the gaming feature for the app to record gameplay. And so what happens then is, let me do that again. It's the Windows G. And you'll get this. And when you want to record, you just click this button, start recording, and then there'll be a place on your screen that you can stop recording. And let me show you what a recording can look like. This is a very short one that I did. I have no sound in it, but you can actually talk and have sound as well. But you can see I was doing something similar to what we're doing here. I was looking at the meeting notes. I clicked on an article. Which one am I going to click on here? The one we're looking at. And it recorded all the things that I'm doing, and it's showing me scanning it. This is the recording I did yesterday to show you how it works. And I stopped recording. Let's see, there it goes. So this was about 41 seconds long. It saves it. Let's go ahead and close the file. And then I'll show you the file itself. I'll do properties. It's going to be hard for you to see because it's just for those of you who are in the audience, you might be able to see it, but it's an MP4 that it saves it as. It saves it in a set folder called, let's see, I put it in desktop, but it actually sets it in a folder that the program designates, and it's the video recordings. It's under videos. And as you can see, I did this on Friday, and it was an MP4 file, and that's all it is. And it was 41 megabytes for the 41 seconds that I did. 43 seconds that I did. But it's part of your Windows 10, and it's free. And so if you need to show somebody how to do something, or something's not working right, and you want to show them what you're doing, and then you want to have some help from somebody else in your user group, or somebody that helps you with your computer, or your kids, your grandkids, you can record what's happening, and they can then say, oh, you're doing that wrong. You shouldn't be clicking there. You should be clicking over here, or that's not the screen you're supposed to be doing it on. So that's built in. It's free. utilize it. It's great. It's a neat tool to know about. The next article that I have, how am I doing on time? We're doing good. Okay. Next article that I went through this month is most people are still avoiding the Windows 10 October 2018 update. And I've got some numbers on this. This article, according to the latest figures from AdDuplex, only about 12.4% of the Windows 10 users are on the current October 2018 version. And it's nearly double the number who were running it in December, but it's still very poor. And in comparison, the update's predecessor, the 2018 April one, is on about 80% of the Windows 10 computers. Not on computers, but on the Windows 10 computers. Now, the question is, and no one seems to have the answer yet, if you haven't done the Windows October 2018 update, what happens in 2 months when the April, let's see, this is February, March, April, at the end of April, when the April 2019 version comes out of Windows 10, are you going to have to go back and do the October 18th first and then do the April 2019, or are you going to just be able to do the April 2019? It's going to say, oh, wait a minute, you haven't done the last one. We'll go ahead and catch you up with everything. No one seems to know the answer to that. So you may have to do 2 updates. So avoiding it now doesn't save you later on. Possibly, you may still have to do the October 2018 update. Now, how do you know? And I've explained this before, but let's go ahead and take a look. Go to your Start button and then go to Settings. And then go to System. And I always just do it this way. This is the quickest way for me anyway. And then go to About. And you're going to see that I am Windows 10 Pro version 1809 is the one I have. And I installed it October 3rd. So I actually did it when it first came out. Even with the problems they were having, I didn't have any of those issues. And so I keep getting updates now on a regular basis, but I already have the 1809 version, and that's how you can check to see which one you have. If you have the 1804, that means you have not done the latest Windows update. Speaking of the April 2019 update, I'm not going to go through each one of these now. I'm just going to mention them because as we get closer to April, some of these things may drop off. Some there may be some changes in them, and then come April, when it is released, I'll do a session on all of the new things that are in the latest update to Windows 10, which again is expected April 2019, and it's usually right at the end of that month or the first week or two of the next month. So it's going to be the end of April, early May when it comes out, but there's going to be speed improvements thanks to some chip changes. They are also going to save 7 gigabytes of your PC storages and reserve that for the updates. And for some of you who are in the boat that I am in, and that is, let me show you the problem I have. It's not so bad on this one, but it is on my Surface. But my C drive right now, I have gotten it down to 105 gigabytes free. I had it down to about 10 gigabytes not too long ago, and I ended up having to reformat my drive, move a lot of my documents and downloads are all now on my D drive and default to my D drive. So if I click on my D drive, you will see documents and downloads and videos, pictures, and videos are all on my D drive. And there is a way in which you can change that as a default. So when I go to save any of those, they don't put it on the C drive, they put it on the D drive. And the reason being, let's go back And hopefully you can see this, but let's go back up and go one more. Whoops, no, that was the one I wanted to be at. This PC. I have a 225 gigabyte SSD card as my C drive and a 1 terabyte drive as my D drive. So I have, and I'm running out of room on that, considering I have freed up some, but I do have a bunch of very large videos that I'm going to have to take off of here, and that'll free up about another 100 gigabytes. But I need to make sure that on my Surface, which only has a 64 gigabyte C drive, and that's an SSD card also, and the whole operating system is on there, plus any programs that I install, I have to really fight to keep around 20 gigabytes free or less, and I'll frequently have less than that. And so if it's going to take 7 gigabytes and save it, at least I'll know that I'll have it available when I do the next update. But it's still, I have to watch and make sure that I don't overfill my C drive and have it crash on me. Then I'll be in serious trouble. So that's one of the things that they're going to reserve this space so you can't use it for other things. Home users can now pause updates too. If you have Windows 10 Pro, you can pause the big Windows updates. But if you have Windows 10 Home, you can't. Well, they're going to add that feature. You're going to be able to do that as a home version user in this new version coming out in April. There's also going to be a light desktop theme. I'm not sure if that's an advantage. There's also going to be a Windows sandbox, but that's only going to be on the Pro version of Windows. It will not be on the home version. So if you're on a home version and these things are important to you, you may have to pay to get the update or buy a new computer that's got the Pro version on it. The cheapest way out is just to buy the Pro version and update and upgrade. There's also going to be a less cluttered default start menu. In other words, the start menu is going to change, and if you're used to using it, it's going to look different and be a little bit different. And I know some of you don't like change. Windows 10 will let you uninstall more built-in apps. Cortana and the search bar are separating, so you're going to do the search at the bottom instead of it being a Cortana. And I'm not quite sure how all that will work. We'll see as it gets closer to release. There'll be more articles about it. The start menu searches all of your PC files. So from the start menu, you can actually search all of your files on your computer. There's going to be passwordless login. It'll connect with your phone, and it will send a code to your phone. You type in the code from your phone, and that will be it. So you won't have to worry about remembering a password. When you go to sign in, you'll just say, send my code. It will send it to your phone, and you'll type in what you get on your phone. The two-factor authentication, it's going to be very similar to that. The system tray icon for the Windows update will actually be there. So there'll be an icon to tell you that you have the update is coming. Do you want to do it manually? Do you want to hold it off? And so on. You're going to be able to see that and know that in advance and not have it surprise you in the middle of a presentation. There's going to be a new update naming scheme for now, this article says. And so apparently they're going to have some names, new names and numbers for the updates and the testing and the betas. And most of you aren't familiar with that, and you don't need to be. There's going to be more zooming. You're going to be able to go in and do some zooming in the console. And there's going to be PowerShell items. There's going to be more automatic troubleshooting. And notifications hidden in the full screen apps. And Notepad improvements. There's going to be some changes in Notepad. For those of you who don't use Notepad, I use it all the time. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's sitting down here in my my tray. Let's see, you can't see it, I don't believe. But if I move it over here, I have Notepad sitting right in my taskbar, and when I click on it, it opens it up. So if I take something, let's say like from here, and do a Control C, and then we'll go back to Notepad, and then I do a Control V, all of the formatting is gone, just the text is there. And that's what I use it. Then I highlight it, copy it back into something that I need, that I don't want any of the highlighting. Because if you do it, let's say in WordPad, or if you do it into Word, what will happen is it will look like this. Or it may have the different fonts and so on, and colors and so on, that you don't really need to have most of the time. And so that's why I use Notepad. Let me move this back down. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. Come on. Okay, I guess it's going to sit on the side here for now. Let's see if I can do it this way. There it goes. I got it back down to the bottom. You probably can't see it now, but that's okay. More improvements and changes, and there's going to be some more things. Oh, they're adding a whole bunch of emojis, and so all of those will be added. And you're going to be able to do some things with them in Notepad as well. And so there's going to be all kinds of emoji things. And you'll be able to disable, let's see. There's also going to be a way to change your dates modified. Instead of it being the actual date, you can say, it'll say yesterday at 3:59 or Tuesday. So there's going to be settings where you can change how it's going to read the date and time in the file, in the File Explorer. And IP settings. So there's going to be some other changes in settings, protection history, tamper protection. There's going to be a lot more, some things in taskbar. There's going to be a default tab. As you can see, there's going to be a lot of changes in the newest version of Windows, scheduled to be released the end of April. Okay. Some of you don't like Windows 10. Some of you are on Windows 7 still. And if you've read any of the articles or heard that the Windows 7 support is going to go away. And actually in next January 2020. But those of you who are die-hard Windows 7 people, let's go ahead and make this bigger. Microsoft is going to allow you to extend the security updates for a fee. Now notice this column is for the Windows Enterprise, and then those are for add-ons for the Enterprise. Most of you don't have the Enterprise version. You're on Pro or Home. Home version is not going to have this ability. But Windows 7 Pro, for 1 year, extended security update is going to cost you $50 a device. The second year, from January 21 to 22, it's going to go up to $100 a device. And then the third year is going to go to $200 a device. Needless to say, unless you really need to have Windows 7, it's going to get expensive just to get the security updates. And so my recommendation is upgrade to Windows 10. If you're past the point and don't have the free, the ability to get the free update or upgrade, you may, and it may be as cheap for you to buy a new computer as it is to buy the operating system and then install it on your computer and go through all the turmoil for doing that. So, so the key takeaways on this are, I need to move this over a little bit so I can read it on my screen. I said I got some things that are blocking it, but users are charged per device basis. There's no volume discounts. And there's also no minimum number of devices required. Each year the price doubles. Adding a device in year 2 or 3 requires payment for that device and to receive ESUs. In other words, to add Windows 7 Pro device in the second year, it would cost $150 instead of just $100 because the device is getting those first year updates. This prevents riding out 1 or 2 years without security updates and then jumping in. So it's going to be accumulative. And then coverage of Windows 7 Pro devices costs twice as much as compared to the enterprise version. So for those of you who are diehard Windows 7 people and do want to be protected in this modern age of anything can get into your computer, my suggestion would be to start thinking about upgrading or getting a computer that's got Windows 10 on it. Some of you want to know about your CPU, the central processing unit, or the core processing unit. There's a core count on a Windows 10 PC. This article tells you how to find out what yours is. And what you do is you go into Windows Task Manager, and one of the ways you can get to it is to go into the taskbar, right mouse click in the taskbar, and you're going to see Task Manager. Go ahead and click on it and open it. And then what you want to do is go to Performance. And down here, it's telling me I have 2 cores, and I don't know that you can see this or not, 2 cores and 4 processors. I don't think I can make this bigger. Let's try it. No, this doesn't get bigger. I could turn on the magnification, but I don't remember how to do it right now, and I don't want to go through all of that and then shut it back off. But it will tell you how many cores and how many processors you have on your computer, and you might want to have that information so you know how recent and what your latest version of your CPU is, to find out how it matches to some of the new computers that are out there that may be doing some things that you want to do and maybe yours won't do. And you can also find that information just going into System Information. And again, to get into System Information, you just go to Settings. And in fact, you don't even have to do that, but you can do that. And then System. This is one way. And I believe it's in About. Well, let's do it the way they say to do it. Just come down to the type box and type in System Information. Comes up, go to it. And then under System, you might have to come down here, and somewhere is down in this area. The processor, it's telling me I have an Intel Core i3 4010U CPU at 1.70 gigahertz, 1701 megahertz, 2 cores, 4 logical processors. So that's in the System Information. So there's a couple of ways in which you can find out how many cores you have and what chip you actually have running your system. And you can also do it from the command prompt. And there is something here that you have to copy and then just paste it into the command prompt, and it will come up and tell you. And there's also some third-party programs as well. So if that information is important for you to know, there's some different ways in which you can do that. This is what I was looking for up earlier when we were talking about the passwords, and I knew I was quite sure that I had put this in. But this is a really good website. For those of you who have been pawned, PWNED, the same people also have where you can check your accounts and you can check in your passwords, and they also have advertising. And you can put in your password. So see if I can get to the tap here. This is pawned passwords. Instead of putting in your email address, you can put in a password. And by the way, all of the writers in the technology field have said that this is a safe site for you to do this, but do it from going to the website. Don't do it from links that come in an email. But you can put in any kind of a password that you use. But let's say, let me come up with one. Let me say Central, whoops, I put a space in there. So I'm typing in CENTRAL, Central Florida, and then type in pond. Oh no, that's been seen 13 times before. In other words, on 13 breached places, Central Florida in all lowercase is being used. What if I put a 1 at the end of that and then say pond? No one did that. So that might be a safe password. But let's say you do the word password. And I know you can't see what I'm typing, but I typed in the word password lowercase. Of course, that's going to be there. Well, what if I go 1, pond? Yep. Then do another 1. So it's 11 now. Oh, yeah. And then 111. Yep. How about 1111? Oh, yes. So sometimes just putting numbers at the end doesn't help you at all. I'm putting another 1 there and even another 1. Oh gosh, look at all of that. So just by putting a number at the end, if your password's been discovered, there's a good possibility somebody's added numbers or you've added numbers, and those also will show up in this. But check out some of your passwords and see if they've been discovered. You might need to change your passwords immediately, if not sooner. So this is a good website to be able to see. Pawn passwords are 551 million real-word passwords previously exposed in data breaches. This exposure makes them unsuitable for ongoing use, as they are at much greater risk of being used to take over other accounts. They're searchable online below, as well as being downloadable for use in other online systems. Read more about how this HIBP protects the privacy of searched passwords. So take a look at that website and try a couple of the words that you use for some of your websites or some of your banking, and see if they've been breached before those passwords. That means they're in the dictionary of passwords, and so somebody can utilize that very much more easily than if it has not been discovered. Going along with all of that, how do you give away information about you? And most of the time is from phishing lines, and here are the most clicked phishing lines from 2018. See how many of these you would be able to. Let's see. Let me make this a little bit smaller so we can see it a little bit better. So I can see it better anyway. In this article, this is a chart. And so we want to get as much of this chart on here as I can in one screen. I don't want to get it too small, but let's see. Top social media email subjects. In LinkedIn, profile views, new endorsements, join my network, or add me are 3%. Let's see, that's for their 39% of LinkedIn phishing. In Facebook, password change or primary email change. 55th anniversary and free pizza is about 10%. Login alert for Chrome on Motorola Moto X, 9%. New voice message, 6%. Your friends tagged you, a photo of you is 6%. Your password was successfully reset, 6%. Secure your account, 4%, and you have a new unread message, 3%. And so let's kind of take a look here. Password check required immediately, 19%. These are the general email subjects of phishing emails. Your order with Amazon.com or your Amazon order receipt, 16% of the phishing letters start with that people get sucked into and give away information they shouldn't be. An announcement, change in a holiday schedule. Happy holidays, have a drink on us. Problem with your bank account. Deactivation of your email in process. Scare you? Absolutely. Click on the link, bingo. They want you to sign in. As soon as you sign in, they got your email address and password. Before you get off, they'll have gone in and changed your password so you can't get to it. Or they're reading your email. Wire department, revised vacation and sick time policy. Last reminder, please respond immediately. And UPS labeled delivery, and it'll actually give you a number. You click on that. It doesn't take you to UPS. It takes you to a phishing site, which then asks for you to sign in and give information, which the hackers are then using. So I thought that was an interesting chart. Common in the wild attacks. Apple, you recently requested a password to reset your Apple ID. Employee satisfaction survey. SharePoint, you have received 2 new fax messages. Your support ticket is closing. DocuSign, you've received a document for signature. ZipRecruiter account suspended. IT support, system support. Amazon, your order summary. Office 365 suspicious activity report, and Squarespace account billing failure. These are some common in the wild attacks. So just be careful. When you see something, don't click on it. Your first inclination is to do that. Sign out, log into the account that you have in your records for your bank or for Amazon. Sign in directly to your account and then look to see if there's an issue, or email them from, not email, but go to their support within their website and say, you got this message, was it them? And in most cases it won't be. So thought that was an interesting article and something that for you to take a look at and for us to mention. The next one is the 11 internet annoyances you can get rid of immediately. First one is called spoilers, a problem. The internet is filled with spoilers for that movie or TV series you're meaning to watch but couldn't find the time for. In other words, you're looking for, you're doing some searching, you've got a movie saved on your DVR, or you've downloaded it, or you're going to watch it on Netflix, and you don't want to hear all about it, and there's all kinds of stories about how it ended or how things that are going on in that particular movie, and you don't want to watch them. To avoid reading these spoilers, all you need to do is install a simple browser extension called Spoiler Protection. It's available for Chrome and Firefox. You can manually add the name of the movie or series in the extension, and the extension will hide any related content on the majority of the websites like Google News, Facebook, and so on. And you can personalize it. Pop-ups and overlays. Use a pop-up blocker, and there's a link to one. Auto-playing of videos, there's ways to shut that off. I'm not going to go into how to do all of these things. This article tells you how you can do that. Trackers and cookies. The problem: online advertising platforms and websites are notorious for tracking your browsing. 2 of the most crucial components in that process are known as trackers and cookies. Both of these are essentially little pieces of information that contribute toward your digital profile, so that online services know that show you even when you're not logged in. And so there's simple ways in which you can do that. And there's actually a download like UltraBlock that will help you there. Obscene and inappropriate media, there's something called V-Rate. Fake news, there's ZenMate Safe Search. Let me take a sip of my soda here. That should be a beer, but it isn't. It's Diet Coke. Too many passwords to remember. Use a password manager. You should be using a password manager. I do. I use one called eWallet. I have close to 1,000 cards in my password manager. But there are other ones besides eWallet. There's LastPass, FirstPass, Dashlane, and I'm trying to think of the other one that several of you have used, but there are a lot of them out there. And that way you can have passwords of any length, of any size, of any kind, and remember them. And in most cases, you can click on the website from the password manager. It opens up the website, puts in the password for you, and you don't even have to type it. And so you can have some of these long, non-discoverable passwords, and you don't have to remember what they are. And there's all kinds of tricks to remember your passwords, but it's a whole lot easier having a password manager. One of the things I use in my password manager, besides passwords, is I save the codes for the software. So if my computer bombs and actually gets wiped out, I have the code to reinstall the software, and I don't have to go searching for it or go to the software manufacturer and say, what is my code to reinstall the software. They may not know. They may not have a record of it. They may be out of business. They may have sold to somebody. But I have the dates of where I bought it, the information of the sale, in other words, the transaction number, as well as the receipt number, and then the code to install it. And I keep all of that in my password manager, as well as other information like my license plate number and my driver's license number and all of those things, because they're highly protected in these password manager programs, and you can save any kind of information that you really need to have. Most of them now, even though some of them are free, to have them where they're cross-platform, you do have to get the pro version. I do suggest that. Therefore, for instance, the e-wallet that I have, I can open up my password manager on my Samsung Galaxy phone, on my iPad, on my Chromebook, on my Windows Surface, Microsoft Surface notebook, and then also on my desktop. And they all sync with each other. And so if I update in one place, it will get synced, and it'll be updated in all of them. So I don't have to go in 4 different places and add a new password that I've changed, or if I get a new code for some new software I just bought, I don't have to put it in several different places. I put it in the password manager, and it's there. Too many subscriptions. With the shift towards internet services came a flurry of subscriptions in your life, music, TV shows, and so on. Keeping track of these payments and ensuring you don't pay for an app you haven't used in a while can be difficult. So there's a website called Track My Subs, or your subscriptions, in other words, and it can alert you before a subscription is about to expire or about to automatically renew. Too many things to read and watch. The internet is swamped with content you wish you had enough time, but you don't. This is saved for later service. Pocket is one. I use Evernote. Microsoft has, and it's now free, called OneNote, where you can save articles and then go back and read them later. High mobile data consumption, and with websites turning more interactive and graphical, the amount of data they consume has simultaneously grown as well. Unfortunately, your data packs are still limited. Obviously, we can't suggest using the internet less, but you can give, they can give you some ideas. Google's own data saver, a host of tricks and tips, and there's a link to take you to that. Searching inside your browser history, more tips on living an organized digital life, and that's this article. There's a lot of good suggestions, things to do, a good article to go back and revisit. 11 internet annoyances you can get rid of immediately. The next item is God mode. We've talked about that in the past. How do you enable it? I'm not going to go in and talk about God mode. I'm just going to talk about how you enable it, and then you can go in and play with it. If you don't know and understand on how Windows works, and you're not into this, I don't suggest you doing this because you can screw up your computer. But let's see, I believe it tells us how to get to God mode. Enabling God mode. Okay, on your desktop, you're going to do new and folder, and then the folder icon will appear, and then you're going to take this statement right here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to highlight it, do a Control-C to copy it. Now I'm going to go to my desktop, and let's see, I'll minimize this as well. Let's see, come here, minimize this just so it's not cluttered. I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to new, and click folder, and it says new folder in there, and notice it's highlighted, waiting for me to type, and I'm just going to, in that box, going to do a Control-V. It picks up everything that I just did, and then hit enter. And there is God mode. If I double click it, there's God mode, and it's all different things that you can change settings to on your system, on readings, ringtones, ScanBot. These are some scans I did. These are some folders that I have. Let's see if there's something here I can show you. Let's just look at so we're into ScanBot. I'm going to close that again and double click because I'm not sure how to get back, but it shows all of the folders, but it also shows me all kinds of settings, devices and printers, ease of access. I can't make this bigger. I'm sorry for those of you who are sitting quite a ways from the screen. But if you do this yourself, you'll see set up a iSCSI initiator, some administrative tools, defragment and optimize your drives. These are some things, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do. Manage BitLocker, change the time zone, set the time and date. You know, let's just show you what, if I click on that, what happens. It clicks it. If I double click it, it then opens this up and I can change the time and date, change additional clocks and so on. So I just cancel. But you can see there's a lot of things and settings that you can do in God mode. In other words, you're kind of the God of your computer. But if you don't know what you're doing, you can get yourself in an awful lot of trouble with that. So just be careful. And let's see here, let's come back to the article. So to use something other than God mode, replace God mode in the above text with something else. And if you just delete the word God mode, it's going to say you must type a file name. And then it goes on and it talks a little bit about what God mode is, just very briefly, gives you an idea of it. Do some searches on what God mode is and what you can do with it. It's a very powerful tool for people who like to fix things and work on things in their computer if you know what you're doing and how to unfix them when you screw them up. That's the important thing. The last item on here is one that, believe it or not, I didn't get to try myself. I'm only going to mention it, but I do a lot of converting of files. I have different ways in which I can do them, but this is a program that you can install and then convert files with a right click in Windows Explorer. So if you do a lot of videos and you want to change it from one format to another, or a photo, you want to change it from a JPEG to a PNG, or it is a PNG, you want to save it as a JPEG. This, by right mouse clicking, you can do the converters. It works with audio, and these are the ones that let's see, I can make this bigger, I think. Are the audio inputs and the outputs and the formats for inputting. Video, this is the output format, so you can change something to an MP4, for instance, or an AVI file, even if it is let's see, if it's an MPEG or an MOV file, you can convert it to an MP4. Images, output are PNG, JPEG, ICO, and WebP. And here are the input formats, and Office will have to be installed for the Office formats to work. And then documents, you can change anything to a PDF using any of these formats, DOCX or DOC. Even if you don't have the programs on some of these, you'll be able to change them to a PDF. So that's the download file converter. You install it and then run it. When you right mouse click, one of the choices will be to convert that file, and you'll have the choices to do it. And with that, Stan, if there's some questions in the audience, people at home, if Marshall said God mode equals computer lobotomy. Good point, Marshall. But if there's any comments from the audience there, Stan, I'm going to unmute the mic there. At least try to. Maybe that's why I haven't heard from you this. I can't. You're going to have to do it, Stan. Rose, please don't unmute. If you want to make a comment, please do it in the comments into the chat box. Stan, are you guys still? You're still online, but I can't unmute you. So.
How about now?
Now we can. Yes, you hit the right button that time.
I found it. Yes, there is a question here, but I have the comment who said never use God mode. That's why we have backups. So maybe that person doesn't have a backup.
Yeah, if you don't back up, stay away from any of those kind of tools. But if you don't back up, sooner or later you're going to say, I should have backed up.
The converter was at Windows 10 only.
Converter for what?
What we just showed us.
What you just showed us on converting something is what Ted's question. Is it for Windows 10 only? Documents and images, yes. Windows 7, just saw it.
I'm not sure where you saw it, but yeah. Oh, yeah. It runs on Vista 7, 8, and 10. The 32-bit and 64-bit. A couple of things on the somebody said he clicked on the game bar and nothing happened. You make sure that you've got the little X, the little box connected, checked, and that should hit enter and maybe record. I can't remember how I got it to activate, but that should activate it. And then at that point, if you do a Windows G, it should bring it up on the screen.
I just did a Windows G here. It's not activated. I'd never heard of it before, but it did pop up the screen, so that does work. Okay.
And then Walter Wood said a year or so ago, I recommended ClipMate, and I still use it. He's had problems with this since it has not been updated. It hasn't been updated in probably 10 years. I still use it. I'm currently using WinV to store to clipboard. Do you have a better recommendation? I don't. I'm still using clipboard. Walter, I'm sorry it doesn't work for you. Sometimes it bombs on me too, but I've been using it so long it's second nature. And And so I have not looked at others, but there are other clipping programs available. One of the big things that's good is I can append and I can copy items from a long, let's say from here I could do image, I could do this section, then I could do another section and then another section, and then tell it stop appending, and then when I paste, I can paste it into one document. That's one of the things I really like about it. And I can tell it just to strip all of the formatting off without having to open up Notepad, paste it in a Notepad, then copy again. I shut it off usually for my presentations, because it does I keep a little box for ClipMate on the lower part of the screen, and it can become distractive, so I can't really show you at this point. Any other questions, Stan, from your end?
Anything else?
What's the URL for that stack?
For which one? What he was just talking about?
Yeah.
It's in the list of.
Yeah. Go to the list, and it's at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
And in the article is the link to the program. That'll give you an excuse to go to my website.
Would you show us the list of your topics again for today's program?
Sure. Let me just switch back and come back over here and come to here.
Yeah, that's where you would find it. Convert files.
I have.
And so, 11 points, annoyances. That was the one you asked about, Mike.
And then what I will do tonight or tomorrow is take the recording of this presentation, and it will be added on the bottom of that page. So if you didn't get a chance to see all of this, you want to share it with somebody else, you want to revisit some of the things that I said, you'll be able to go to the video and click on the link and watch the video to watch what we've been doing. Okay, any other comments? Anything from we've got, by the way, we've got 15 people online.
Wow. Can we see the list?
I don't have a way of doing that. Sorry. I'm seeing it on my screen. You don't see that. There's probably a way I could do that, but I don't know what it is. So with that note, I will say thank you, everyone, for joining us. This has been the Sunday, February 10th, 2019 Windows Special Interest Group from the Central Florida Computer Society. I'm Huey Poplock. I'm sitting in Bradenton, Florida. The live audience is sitting in Castleberry, Florida, and the not so live audience, in other words, those of you who have joined us online, I'm sure all of you are very much alive. You're out there in throughout the country, and you've connected via the internet. So thank you all for joining. I'm going to stop the recording.